I'm last. When I first arrived, Deborah Nash comes walking up to me and she goes, "You would not believe the people who've been speaking. They have made us cry. They made us, at one point, I couldn't breathe." And then there's me. Hey, hey. All right, come on, man. How many of you know that every single one of you here, you're here for one reason only, because somebody somewhere believed in you so much that they convinced you that you had something to give somebody. This is an incredible organization. That's the story we all need, man. I'm telling you. Question, what do you think was Alex's greatest fear? Does anybody know? Think about what he's doing. What was his greatest fear? No, wait a minute, no. If you're going to talk, if you raise your hand, I'll call on you, okay? No, I don't, because when you're in a room like this, everybody's going, "I got something to say." This guy was claustrophobic. The thing that was the greatest fear inside of him wasn't what we would think it was. See, the greatest fear in every single one of us is not necessarily what we think it is. How many of you know we could be anything in front of anybody we want to be? But how many of you know it's the people that know us? The people that we work with, the people that we live with, those are the people that really know us. His greatest fear was sitting in that capsule for 2.5 hours while he ascended 24 miles. That's incredible. What's your greatest fear? What's the thing that holds you back? See, I believe there's 3 kinds of people here today. There's 3 kinds of people, especially in this kind of group, because I love speaking to people who are speakers. I love consultants. It's amazing because the level of energy. How many of you understand what I'm talking about? I mean, there is, seriously, even at the end of the day, some of you are still going, "Wee! Yay! Where are you?" "I don't know." Yay! See, here it is. If you're going to be a great communicator, if you're going to communicate, how many of you know you got to have a what? You got to have a great what? Story. You know what the story is? When you tell a story, it's the buy-in. It's when people get to buy into you. How many of you know there's some incredible stories right here? Stories of success, stories of failure. My story is this one. Richard Simmons. I love that man. My greatest story, my wife comes up to me one day and she says, "Honey, you know what my passion is?" And that's not fair because I wrote a book on passion. It's kind of tugging me. She goes, "You know what my passion is?" I said, "Me." She goes, "No." She goes, "My greatest passion, I want to work out." I go, "I want to go do something with you, but if I tell you what it is, you won't go." I said, "Well, I'm not going to go then. Because I don't know how it is at your house, but I'm the man. All right? When I put my foot down, that's it. Okay? I'm the man." Is Sharice in here? She goes, "We're going to Beverly Hills." I said, "Great. Where are we going to go?" She goes, "I won't tell you because you won't go." I said, "Then I'm not going to go." She goes, "No, I'm okay. I'll give you a hint. We're going to a place called Slimmins." Slimmins. It's not a club. It's not a place you go eat. Slimmins is Richard Simmons' workout studio. How many of you know I didn't have a passion for this? Okay. How many of you know it wasn't on my bucket list, right? She goes, "We're going to go work out with Richard Simmons." I put my foot down. I said, "There is no way I'm getting in the car, driving to Beverly Hills and working out with Richard Simmons." I said, "That's not going to happen." Bam. So on our way there the next day, as we're driving, how many of you know there's 2 kinds of people you work with and you live with every single day? 2 kinds of people. You ready? Exit people and entrance. Have you met these people? The exit people, they're the whiners. "I don't like it here. I don't want to be here. I don't make enough money." Whine. They whine all the time. How many of you know the older we get, the more gratitude we have? Wouldn't you agree with that? Come on, you guys. Am I right? I mean, come on, seriously. How many of you wake up in the morning and you go, "Yes"? No, come on. Am I right? You wake up and you go, yeah, another day. How many of you wake up and you go, "I'm vertical"? Thank you, all right? You got to have a great story. You got to have a great story. Stories are what, when you tell a story, people buy into you, especially if it's your story. Make sure if you tell a great story, it's your story. Don't tell somebody else's story. Richard Simmons, great story, had no idea. Sharice, entrance person, shows up, entrance. Richard, entrance, let's go. Was I entrance or was I exit? Exit. Exit people never want to be where they are. They never want to be where they are. Entrance people don't care where they are. They make things happen wherever they are. Sharice shows up. Does Sharice go to the front of the gym or the back of the gym? Front, right up front. Where did I go? Front or back? Nope, I went to the front because she dragged me all the way there. Entrance people spend 80% of their energy dragging exit people to where they're supposed to be every single day. Some of you are laughing like this. How many of you have ever been in a place you didn't want to be? How many of you know sometimes we're in places we don't want to be, but those are the places we need to be? See, the stories that you heard from people today, the stories that made you laugh, and the stories that made you cry, I guarantee, I wasn't even here, but I'll tell you what, I guarantee that most of those stories were carved out of moments of great pain and hurt and frustration and anger and all. How many of you understand what I'm talking about? See, your greatest stories were not in the places of your great success. Those are not the stories you tell your children and grandchildren, but the stories that grab people at a level you can't imagine. Or the stories at the midnight hour when you were crying and you completely gave up and you said, I can't do this anymore. And somebody came along and gave you a thing called hope and you kept going. Those are the stories that matter. Because stories that come out of those moments. How many of you understand every one of us have one great thing in common in this room? Every person is messed up in this room. No, look around. It looks like the bar scene at Star Wars in here, for crying out loud. How many of you come from a dysfunctional family? Raise your hands. Come on. Be proud. Be proud. Now, if you didn't raise your hands, that means you're delusional, for crying out loud. How many of you are successfully right now raising a dysfunctional family? Go right ahead. Go right ahead. That's why you're on the road. You don't want to be with them. I don't want to be with you. I am on the road now. Are you on the road very long? As long as I possibly can. You're 5. I'll be back when you're 55. All right, I'm coming back. The story of Richard Simmons. I'm in the back of the gym. I'm mad. I got a story. I didn't know it was going to be my story. I'm in the back of the room. I'm mad. Like some of you, you're mad. Some of you are looking at me right now. I want to be up there. Why are you up there? How'd you get up there, little man? I'm a better speaker than you are. That's why you're not up here. The story. You got to have a story. Man. Who knew that in a matter of moments, Richard Simmons would come popping out, 8th wonder of the world, little fro and shorty shorts, white beater t-shirt that said, dance with me, freaked me out. Didn't know that story was about to change my life. I didn't know that Richard Simmons would end up standing right in front of me in a moment and look at me and say, you know what, sir? Your negative attitude is bringing everybody down in this room. If you're going to stay here, I want you to work it. How many of you know I did that too good? I did it too good. He grabbed my arms and he went, work it, work it, work it, work it. And how many of you know that sometimes the truth will set you free, but it will really make you angry first? And see, the greatest truth that you'll ever receive always comes through the vessels we can't appreciate. And when Sharice looked at me that night and she said, you got 2 choices. Stop speaking. Go get a job. Some of you are so slow. Sorry. I thought it was a job. All right. She goes, you can stop speaking, go get a job, or something's got to change. And when I got on the bike, my story is the first hill I had to walk up. Pushing. But after about a month and a half, I could pass people on my bike that were walking. I'm trying here. I'm really trying. I'm working. Work with me a little bit. And by the 3rd month, I'm biking, man. People on wheelchairs were impressed. It's our 22nd wedding anniversary. Sharice goes, hey, why don't we go skydiving? Hey, why don't you get something to live for? What's your story? What are the events that you choose not to do, and now you don't get the story? The great stories. You have the right side of the brain. The right side of the brain. These are the right side brain. They're here. There's a lot of right side brainers here. You can tell. Yeah. I love life. Just love life. Let's just go crazy. He's going to talk about passion. Yeah. What did you learn? Nothing. I don't care. Learn. There's going to be a reception. Rockin' them. You want to see a right and a left brain together? And that actually works together? Have you ever met the Nashes? No. This is freaky. This epitomizes everything I'm talking about. If you look at Dr. Nash at this moment, you'll see he is now in a left brain posture, which means his hands are folded, which is a sign of I'm defensive. He is looking at me right now, and he can't say anything because I have the microphone. There's several things that Dr. Nash would like to express right now, but he has this thing that most right-brainers don't have, and it's called a filter. Unlike his right-brain wife, Deborah. She hasn't had a filter since birth. It's been... am I right? Am I right? Deborah will say anything at any time. You'll go, you said that? But Deborah's the same person that opens meetings. The hills are... Have you ever heard Deborah's open a meeting? Thank God for these two beautiful people, because both of them, excuse me, have given me incredible stories. My greatest laughter has been with these two. The greatest adventures have been with these two, which most I can't even tell you because it would incriminate Ross. He wasn't saying with his eyes as he had a foot into eternity, he wasn't saying, I wish that I would have worked more hours. You know what he was saying? Sweetheart, my boy, I wish I would have asked you more about you. I wish I would have kept the promises. I wish I would have held you more. I wish I would have told you I loved you more. You are more than consultants, and you are more than speakers. You are mothers and fathers, and you are representing the greatness of what people truly, truly are. So, if those are the attributes that are important at the time of your death, how much more are they important while we're alive? This is your greatest moment. Thank you so much for making it mine.